Hello, and welcome to the Author Roundup, a special segment of the Book Connection Show where we meet up and coming indie authors and talk to them about their recently released books. Welcome to the Author Roundup. I'm Jenny, and today we're heading full throttle into the world of high performance motorcycles, where innovation was fierce, speed was king, and limits were made to be broken. In the 1970s and 80s, Kawasaki shook the motorcycle world with machines that were bold, powerful, and unapologetically ahead of their time. Among them, the Z1300 stood out, not just for its six-cylinder engine or liquid cooling, but for what it represented, a break from convention and a leap into the future of superbikes. Today's guest knows this world inside out. He's worn many hats: radar technician, aircraft maintenance engineer, aviation consultant. But through it all, he's never lost his love for Kawasaki motorcycles. Now living in Brisbane, Australia, he's turned that lifelong passion into a book series that dives deep into the legacy of these iconic machines. The author of Kawasaki Superbikes Z1300, please welcome Stefan Oehl. Hi, Stefan. It's great to have you back.
Thank you for the invitation. Hi, Jenny.
I'm excited to talk to you again. So I think we were discussing it earlier. This is already, our sixth, right? The sixth interview
Yes.
that we're having with you. Okay, so let's get right to the questions. What motivated you to dedicate an entire book to the Z1300? And how does it stand out from the other Kawasaki models you've covered?
It is a complete independent model. So it was the designer's intention was to adjust it optically to the MK2 with a triangular side panel, with a coffin-shaped tank and so on, and with a tail cover. But the engine had two cylinders more, a six-cylinder engine. It received water cooling to make it more narrow because the six-cylinder engine is so wide. And when the driver would lean the motorcycle into a curve, the engine would touch the ground. So the water cooling helped to keep it narrow. And also it's a noise reduction. The water cooling helps to reduce the rattling of the timing chain. Yeah. And the 1300 also has a different final drive. It has a cardan drive because it was supposed to hit the market as a super cruiser, the American market, long distance, slow cruising, and there's no chain. And also later models received an Alpha N fuel injection system. So many innovations. But optically, it's in line with all the other end 70s motorcycles with a triangular side panel.
Okay, so from what you've mentioned about the difference of the Z1300, it's known for its complexity. Now, what was the most challenging part of documenting it in such technical and visual detail?
Yeah, we have 10 different models. Yeah, from 1979 to 1989, 10 different models came out, were introduced, and so the differences, made it very complex. So the goal was to show the differences between these different bikes. In 1983, the fuel injection came. And it's a very complex area. And also the water cooling, it has a final drive, which is more complex than a chain, so more pages, a very complex machine. And probably the heaviest motorcycle, until end of the 1980s, 322 kilograms of dry weight. Yeah, so that is really heavy. And the 1300 is a base model for the Voyager, so cruisers with a large fairing and so on. It didn't end in 1989. It went on with even larger motorcycles.
Mhm. I see. Very interesting information about the Z1300. So you mentioned that the book, your book, this book, isn't a service manual. It's more than that. So how did you balance historical, technical, and illustrative content for your target audience?
Yeah, the secret is you can combine information on one page. And then obviously I have no revision service. So a maintenance manual has a revision service because over time there are mistakes, changes, and parts sometimes turn out to be too weak. And so the difference to a maintenance manual is the revision service. So my book shows basically a snapshot, so collectors and motorcycle restorers are able to build one bike out of this area and see what the different parts are. Because with 10 models, you quickly lose oversight what belongs to which. Yeah, and that is the goal of my book series, to show collectors and restorers, yeah, what one particular year needs in parts.
Okay, so Stefan, I know when you create books like this, you research about them. So a lot of research would go into it. So a lot of hard work goes into it. Did you uncover any surprising or lesser known facts about the Z1300 during your research that even seasoned enthusiasts might not know?
Yeah, there is probably one interesting fact in the motorcycle was not allowed in Japan. So riders were not allowed to register it for normal road traffic because they had a regulation where the rider had to be able to pick up the bike when it lay on the side. And with 322 kilograms plus fuel, yeah, you easily have close to 400 kilograms with oil and water and fuel. And yeah, so riders were not able to pick up the bike. So for the first years, it was not registered in Japan, only for the export
Mm.
market.
Okay, so just wondering how it got registered then. So were there changes made to the motorcycle, or how did it go?
It must be. I'm not so aware with the legislation in Japan, but I noticed during my research that many Japanese clubs are dedicated to the 1300 and they do an incredible job. So Japanese people have a very high attention to detail, and what they do it relaxed, yeah, and they do it right, yeah. So it's always a great source for information, and they must have scrapped it because now you see 1300 more often.
I see. So you've written about other Kawasaki Superbikes models. How does the Z1300 compare in terms of cultural significance or engineering complexity?
Yeah, basically, every country has different ideas how a bike should look like. So, see, in Germany, you have no speed limit on the highway. So, motorcycles are often more adjusted to high speed, lower handlebars. They have fairings and so on. Weight is shed. Yeah, they take weight away. And other countries like USA, you have cruisers. So, the owners often put fatter fairings on the cruiser fairings with a large windscreen. And so every country adjusts the bikes to the available roads. Yeah, and Germany is probably a very interesting location where no speed limit is. So in Germany, people find out what weak parts are, what should be improved, or what handling differences are during high speed. And so, yeah, there's a wide range over the world, but they are all united with a double, yeah, with a legendary six. Yeah, it's called the legendary six motorcycle. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so looking back at your previous books, I know this is a series, so each book would be talking about different models, right? So what carried over into the Z1300 project, and what did you feel needed a new approach?
Yeah, the build-up of the book is completely the same. So the reader starts at the front, and when you look down, it's counterclockwise around the motorcycle. I take off covers, what's behind, and then we stop at the front. Yeah, it's the same build-up of the book. Yeah, and yeah. Yeah, sorry, I lost a little bit. It's so complex, this matter. So the designers tried to adjust it to the MK2, which is a complete success. And when from a little bit of a distance, it matches perfectly into the picture. When you put all these motorcycles in a line, in a row, they look perfectly matching because in 1977 or 78 with the Z1000A, Kawasaki has canceled the 3S styling concept with the rounder edge curves and so on and made it more modern. So like a almost a electrocardiogram with triangles and lines and so it's not curved anymore. And yeah, the 1300 is a perfect match. It's basically the end of the series about the start of the superbikes. However, the other motorcycles came later. So 1980, there was a range 1000G and H. And so I decided to pull the 1300 earlier and finish it now.
I see. So we can expect the same approach as with the other books then,
Yeah,
like how we
definitely.
presented it. I
The
see.
yeah, my promise is to keep the quality and even improve it. Over years, you learn, you see new details, and motorcycles are more complex. Yeah, they have electronic systems and more mechanical safety features. For example, for the side stand, so it grows. And with the motorcycle models, also my skills grew. Yeah, tried different approaches, more details, yeah, split some pages, other were combined in one where not so many differences were. So it's a complete a learning curve always. It will never end learning. Yeah.
Yeah. But the same attention to detail is there, same as the other previous books, right?
This is what I promised, and when I look at the result, it is a success. Yeah, and the feedback from other from customers who bought my books is positive, and I got new information which I have for next revision already. Yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's I'm very happy with the result. Yeah, that's a book, by the way. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Mhm. It's So that's good to know. So, Stefan, as a young man, I know in our previous interviews, we have talked about your interest in motorcycles. So, how did this interest in motorcycles gradually turn into writing such highly technical books?
Yeah, see, from my professional life, I was involved in aircraft maintenance, which requires a high level of safety and attention to detail. And so, yeah, I was made redundant in 2014, and I looked for other areas which I can do for in later years of my life. And I always had the idea to write a book about something. And then when the time came, I looked into the matter, what can I write? And political books, yeah, they are serious, yeah, they make people worrying, yeah. So I looked for something which can elevate your yeah, happiness basically, yeah, and revive memories about good old times. And then, yeah, after a short time, I decided that's it. Yeah, I will dedicate time into recording the history of a certain mechanical device, yeah, motorcycle, yeah. And so and the other part is to leave something behind. Yeah, to show people what we had when we were young. And it's already 50 years ago when these bikes were built. And this was the second reason to contribute to the history of our exciting planet and societies.
You always have been very passionate about motorcycles, specifically about the Kawasaki Superbikes. So what I also like is that you involve your family in editing and illustration, right? So how has that collaboration influenced the final product?
Yeah, it was valuable information. The main reason why I asked my family is the English language. I'm German, so I was happy to have someone editing, reading through the text. I mean, it's less the images, it's more the text part of the book. However, in the last couple of years, it became less. My eldest daughter moved to Ireland, my youngest daughter married, and they don't have much time anymore. So I give them sections to read and ask for their opinion. So they are still involved, but not so much anymore. Maybe in the future, a family member likes to join. The doors are always open. Yeah.
Correct. So, Stefan, do you ever hear from readers or restorers who use your books for restoration projects? And then what kind of feedback resonates the most to you?
Yeah, there is, I would say, 100% positive because it's so much information. I mean, when people buy it, they need months or weeks to look really through and see what the complete detail is. However, what people find out and presidents of clubs, they send me feedback and they are happy. They recommended the books to their club members. And so, yeah, it is. I'm sure I'm on the right track. That drives me forward. That gives me energy every day since about 7 years to do 4 to 8, sometimes 10 hours per day writing and doing graphics and so on. Yeah, and the positive feedback is what drives me forward. Yeah. A famous person is Graham Crosby, a former race driver from New Zealand. And I thought I contact him because he used one of the bikes as a racer.
Mhm.
And he answered, and that is also a positive aspect in my work that I have contacts all over the world, talk to people and get feedback. Yeah, and that all contributes to the energy to go forward and continue.
Mhm. Okay, so you mentioned about illustrations and all that. So your book includes rare technical illustrations and variations between model years. So how did you source or create those with such accuracy?
Yeah, often I visit people. I know many people who collect motorcycle parts and motorcycles, and that's a very important source because now you can buy aftermarket parts. They are remanufactured and they are modern. They have different markings, different materials. And I want to focus on the original parts from 60 and 50 years ago. And so that is very time consuming. And I also have parts myself. So I go down in my shop, arrange lighting, to take photos, and yeah, that is basically a very a wide range of yeah, variety of work. Yeah, it makes it very interesting.
Okay, so you talk about research and all that. How does your research and production process look like now as compared to when you published your first book? Has there been a difference?
Not there is not a big difference. I mean, we have the later models have much more images online available. However, to cover every part of the book, you will not find these images. So I have to contact people and ask them to send me images. So recently, I sent, especially here for the 1300, a request to Germany, to the Z Club Germany, and they sent me photos of their side cover emblems because not the whole range was available online. So that is yeah, a very important aspect of my work to talk to people and send before when I'm not sure it's an original part. I rather double check it with owners, yeah, and people who know the matter.
Yeah. I can just imagine how extensive the research was and how much detail you had to check. So, again, going back to the research that you've done, do you see differences in how enthusiasts in different regions approach restoration, modification, or historical preservation of the Z1300?
Yeah, you can see technical apparatuses have evolved. So there are manufacturing processes which we didn't have 20 years ago, eroding, so and yeah, powder coating and so on. So the final product after restoration looks much better than
Mhm.
the original part, sometimes a little bit too perfect, because the Japanese people used paint brushes to draw the pinstriping on the tanks. So the width is not even. Yeah, and people think it's a mistake, but it's an indication for real handwork. And modern processes involve stripes which you put on the tank. They have an even width over the whole side of a tank, for example, and you can see that it's not original because the width is too even. Yeah, and also welding seams on the exhaust are perfect. They are done by robots now, and in the
Mhm.
1970s, yeah, it was done by hand, so it's a little bit uneven, but this is an indication for a genuine part. Yeah,
Mhm.
so you see, there is an evolution in the quality, but it's sometimes not the right place because a motorcycle which is 60 years old and you have manufacturing processes from 2020 doesn't match. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So you've now covered a lot of iconic Kawasaki models. Are there any others that you still want to explore in book form?
Yeah, the idea is after book nine to make a little bit of a break and slow
Mhm.
down because it's so time consuming that other things, hobby, family, family first and hobby had a little bit, I didn't have time, so much time than I thought. And so I should have focused more. And this is my plan for the future, continue with this work. Definitely, it's an open end. However, private life and life itself, yeah, must be more in the middle, in the focus. Yeah, we don't live to work, we work to live. Yeah.
I agree. Very wise words. So, are you also planning to write about non Kawasaki models or perhaps broaden into other types of classic bikes in the future?
It depends. People have approached me for to write books about certain motorcycles. However, until the series is not finished and the offer is not there, I mean, I hope there isn't financial offer one day that someone offers, a lump sum, and I can create some tailored project for this person. But you never know. Yeah, it might happen, it might not happen. Until that time, I continue with my book range, and I have so many types and data collected. It's for another 10 years, I would be busy. Yeah.
Wow. So, you mentioned that you have been approached by others before about working on a book. So, do you see that
Yes.
happening, like collaborating with other experts, or are you the type of author who would rather prefer working independently?
Oh, I have approached many people and asked for to join me, but there is not a lot of interest, and these people are distributed all over the whole world, so not many here in Australia, and the distances are great, and so
Right.
the door is always open. But until today, I work by myself. Yeah,
Mhm.
but you never know. Yeah, the door is open when family members want to join or a friend wants to join. Would be a good idea. Yeah,
Mhm.
sounds good.
So, that's something that you can also consider.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, every project grows and evolves over time, and that is definitely an option.
So, the motorcycles that you write about, these are iconic, right? So, do you see your books as part of a broader effort to preserve motorcycle heritage for future generations?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, someone has to do the job. Yeah, I mean, history is a very important aspect of our life. Time goes on so quickly, 20, 30 years, and suddenly no one remembers something anymore. So my idea is to write something and keep something for the past. Yeah, and even in 50 years, people might be interested to see what people did in the 1970s. And so that is one important point, yeah, to be historical accurate and produce something for future generations, for the archives, for libraries.
Okay, so Stefan, we've come a long way in terms of you documenting all of your knowledge about Kawasaki motorcycles and all that. So if you could go back and give advice to your younger self when you started writing about motorcycles, what would it be?
Yeah, when I look back, the balance between family life and work must be in a healthy ratio. So I probably dedicated too much time for the books. And now, when I see my children grew up and they moved away, and so you can't turn the clock back. So if I had the chance to do it again, I would spend more time with the family. I mean, what is one book more or less? Yeah, it doesn't make a big difference. But at that time, when I started about 7 years ago, I had only the goal in view and wanted to go ahead and see the result. So I spent probably a little bit too much time. I should have focused much more on family and socializing. Yeah, it's very important because you can't turn the clock back, and you turn in a loner. Yeah, you work by yourself, and that is not healthy. And yeah, this is a thing what I would change if I had the chance.
I see. So before we end, what message would you like to leave our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, if someone does similar books with a lot of graphics involved, my secret is what I reveal now. I work under magnification, so I zoom in into the graphic and work under a large magnification. And when I'm happy with the result, and zoom out, and then you have a flawless image. So I work under magnification. That is very time consuming because it takes more time, but the result is much more even and much more yeah, has a higher quality.
Mm. Stefan, please invite everyone tuned in to visit your website, follow you in social media, and of course, get a copy of your book.
Yeah, book number 7 has just been added to my webpage, www.codezsuperbikes.com. Book number 7 is about the Z1R and the turbo version. So very interesting bike.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. So that brings us to the end of today's ride. Thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to dive deeper into the history, engineering, and legacy of the legendary Kawasaki Z1300, be sure to check out Kawasaki Superbikes Z1300 by Stefan Oehl. It's available in paperback, hardback, and ebook formats at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, the Ex Libris online bookstore, and of course, other resellers. So, a big thank you to you, Stefan, for sharing your story and passion with us. And as always, thanks to everyone tuned in. Until the next episode of the Author Roundup.